Welcome to another edition of Talk City Greensboro, produced by GTN, featuring interviews and events happening around town. It's an easy way to stay in the know while you're on the go. Subscribe to Talk City on iTunes, Pandora, Google Play, or SoundCloud, where you can keep up with what is going on in Greensboro City government and beyond. I'm your host, Rodney Dawson, along with the incomparable Rosemary Plybon.
So happy to be here today. And we're talking about the GOAT Awards today. And, when we talk about GOATs, we're talking about greatest of all time. These are the awards. They're coming up in Greensboro. It's an annual event. It takes place on Martin Luther King Ceasefire Weekend right here in Greensboro, Saturday, January 13th, downtown Greensboro at the beautiful, historic, wonderful Carolina Theater. The GOAT Awards in association with FASK, which is Families Against Senseless Killings, plays a vital role in increasing awareness about gun violence, deaths due to guns, just all of that happens in our city, happens to people we know, to people we care about. And city leadership and citizens have really gotten behind this, and we want this to go away. We want to see a change. This morning, outside of the Melvin Municipal Office Building, is a sacred area. It's there. You can see it anytime you walk by. And there are 120 photos of victims of gun violence and senseless deaths outside. And that's not counting all the lives lost. That's just 120. Right. There's so many more in our area. And it's alarming, it's symbolic, it's sad, it's heartbreaking, it's all those things. But it can also be a call to action.
Absolutely. And of course, at the time of this recording for this podcast, the city's at a time dealing with the death of a loved one, Sergeant Philip Dale Nix. He was a 23-year veteran of the Greensboro Police Department. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, the community, and the Greensboro Police, as well as the Greensboro Fire Department. He had several family members that came up in the fire department. He connected with them as well. And Officer Nix and his family held close ties to the fire department. And so this reinforces the continuing need to address this tragic problem that the city's facing. So joining us today to talk about the GOAT Awards is the president and CEO of the Spencer Group, along with serving on the boards and committees of many other community organizations. But I can't even talk specifically today. We're talking with Dr. Ira Spencer in her role as president of FASK, and that's Families Against Senseless Killings, and how the GOAT Awards plays a part in this awareness initiative. And Dr. Ira Spencer, welcome to the show. Before we begin, will you give us a brief introduction? Of course, I know you very well, but give the viewers and the listeners a brief introduction about you and your ties to the Gate City.
Oh, that's a loaded question, Rodney. Well, again, I'm Dr. Ira Spencer, and I have been raised here in Greensboro, went to the elementary, middle, high school, graduated from Page, go Pirates. Did my undergrad at North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, and this is home. And was raised in Northeast Greensboro, and have taken on the responsibility of bringing to light what's going on right now in our community. Someone's got to stand up, and someone's got to be the voice for the voiceless. And you've got a lot of people that are hurting. So FASK, Families Against Senseless Killings, is near and dear to my heart. And so that's why I've just delved in feet first, hands first, head first, everything. So I am a girl from the city, from the hood, and this is near and dear to me, what's going on.
And you are a mother.
And I'm a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Tell us about your son.
Trey. Oh, William M. Spencer III. Trey, very vibrant, extremely, extremely good looking. I'm going to say that. But he was caught in the middle of an altercation that two people got into an argument, and he stepped up and went in the middle of it and said, look, guys, we need to get along. We shouldn't do this. You don't need to argue. Let's take it down a notch. You've both been drinking, and let's not do this. And so everybody thought that was it. Mm-hmm. And so most of the folks went back into the apartment where everybody was sitting around and having a good time. And the one person that was still trying to cool himself off stayed outside in the parking lot. And When he came back in, Trey's back was toward the door. So everyone just expected him to come back in and be okay. You know, he had calmed himself down. But when he came back in, he let loose a magazine of bullets, and most of them hit my son. And so, with that being said, to get that call, to think that you're going to be that parent that you see other parents on TV or the news, for you to get that call, and it's kind of deep, and it hits in a place where you will never, ever, ever, ever can imagine. You know, people come up and I'm sorry for your loss, and you know, I'm sorry that you're hurting, but they don't understand really what that feels like until I tell them, I need you to close your eyes. I need you to think about your child. And I need you to see somebody from Greensboro PD or detective come up, ask you to see a picture of your son, and then tell you, I'm sorry to inform you that they're no longer here. That is a pain that never goes away. And so Trey was full of life, and he was that mediator. He was that interrupter. He was that guy that helped on Pee Wee football. He was that guy that went to college. He was that guy. And that guy ended up taking a bullet for several people that could have been killed that night, but he was the only one because the place was full of people and small children upstairs in the bedroom.
Mm. You know, you're very prominent in the community, known as Wild Irish Rose on 90.1, of course.
Yes.
President of the Spencer Group. You've done a lot of front-facing roles, civic roles, I should say. So I would assume you're aware of, you would be more aware, but were you aware of the amount of death that we see in this city before what happened to Trey, or was this an eye-opener for you?
No, it was truly, you're aware of it, but you know, you go, oh wow, another death, that's not good. But when I'm a researcher, so I knew wrong mom this time, because I went to the area where Trey was killed, and I researched that area, and I pulled data, and I called a meeting of everybody that would come in that big boardroom, and that included the chief of police, that included the mayor, the city council members, commissioners, city attorney, anybody that would come. I called a meeting, and I presented a packet to everyone in that meeting, and we'll start at page 1. I need you to explain to me why this area is infested like this. And they all sat there. I just need you to explain it to me, because I'm that mom that needs to understand why this area has an area where our elderly are living in housing, where people are stuck in homes and they can't move because they can't afford to, why it's full of drug dealers, why it's full of landlords that don't care. And you know this because I'm showing you the statistics for years that this has been going on. And I need someone in this room today explain to me why you know this is here, why this is going on. And nobody could answer me. And one city council person said, no one has ever put it in our face like this. And afterwards, they got a couple of vans and loaded everyone up. And we rode to that area. And they got out and walked it. And they were appalled, especially the council person, that is their area that they garner votes from.
That's their district.
As their district. And then the at large. So I'm a major proponent now to the moms, to any families of senseless killings. Anyone, do some research. I'll help you. But you need to sometimes show people and put it in their face and make them answer the question, why?
Mhm.
That area had had so many killings, had had so many gunshots. I talked to the neighbors in that area, and to hear some of the elderly people say, I can't even sit outside on my lanai in the evening, or to see the parents, we can't send the kids to the playground, and they're picking up bullets. So all of that was hit me in the face in 2016.
Mhm.
That was 2016.
Let's share, just for listeners, some of these stats.
Yes.
These are from the Greensboro News and Record. Gun deaths in 2020. This was a record for Greensboro. 62. That was in the year 2020.
During the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, when for much of the year people were,
Exactly.
inside, right? 2022, 2 years later, down to 41. So that felt like some progress. Any is too many, but that felt like we were going in the right direction. But then now 2023, we're right at the beginning of 2024 for the year of a brand new high, 74. 74. That's not the way we want to go.
No.
And I think it was interesting what you said is that, nobody knows how it feels until they have that call, till they have that police officer standing in front of them. And I think that we even hear these numbers and you think, you turn it off in some ways.
Mhm.
I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it happening to somebody I know and love. And therefore I'm turning away from it in some ways. So how is FASK getting people to look into this and to put it in their face and to say, we have to be part of the solution? How do you do that?
One of the things that I found is the community wants to know.
Mm.
They want to know. And so anytime we get that opportunity to pull together a group at any of your community recreation centers, anytime there's a rally downtown, anytime we do anything, we put it in their face. We try to hit all the media. We try to hit everything that we can. And it's called interrupters. And we come into a community when there's a death, and when there's a killing and a senseless killing. Yes, our gun violence is up, but a senseless killing can involve drunk drivers.
Mhm.
Anything that's
Mhm.
senseless. So we take an opportunity to get in front of people that could possibly be hearing those gunshots at night. I was at a rally not too long ago, and my big thing is, you've got an election coming up, and you've got people that are going to want you to vote. They're going to make you show an ID to vote. What are they making people do to stop shooting people? What are they making people to do with gun laws? And so it's those hot words and hot buttons that get people to stop and listen.
Mhm.
And there's no such place as a safe space
Mhm.
anymore.
Mhm.
I've actually had someone come up to me that lives in a neighborhood in Greensboro where their property taxes are probably incredibly high
Mhm.
because they're mansions. But they said to me, Doc, I feel so bad that people go to sleep at night and have to worry about that live in those neighborhoods. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that. And I asked them, why do you feel that you don't have to worry about that? That neighborhood's not gated.
Mhm.
It doesn't have
Mm.
24-hour security. Our police department's on reaction mode. They're not on proactive. They can't ever get to proactive because everything is reactionary. So what I do is, anytime I get an opportunity like this wonderful podcast, or anytime I get an opportunity to speak or go to a school or go to a community center, or if Mayor Vaughn calls me and says, I need you to show up here, that's me. That's where I'm at. And because nothing can hurt me worse than what has hurt me.
Right.
And sharing this information, if one person realizes that I can go in there and tell my son or daughter or nephew or niece or husband or anyone, stop drinking, you may kill someone because I just heard. Or you don't need to go and join a gang because I just heard. Or you don't need to, you got a group of people wanting to go out and retaliate and shoot something up because I just heard. if we can say that, if all of us can kind of speak the same thing,
Mhm.
you know, we can move forward.
Because not just one life isn't changed. I mean, the whole community
Oh,
is changed with when this happens.
oh my
I mean, the
goodness.
ripple effects, they don't
Absolutely.
end. They don't end.
It does
It
not.
is it is it is the most selfish thing to think that it would just be this one person. It's
No,
not just you. It's not just Trey. It's
it's
ripples.
on and on.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And we see
Mhm.
with the rallies that we had yesterday and the rallies that we've seen in the past, to recognize senseless killings. And then I'm a numbers guy. You know, I've been in marketing and communication. So to me, success means you got a large group out there watching you, and that's not always success. So I have to train myself not to think that way. But if I go to a rally and I see a lot of people, I say, okay, well that event, that death had a impactful. It was impactful.
Mhm.
If I see few people, then I'm thinking, well, what's going on? You know, folks aren't caring or something to that nature. So when you go to these rallies, and how important is it to have people there? How important is it to have opportunities to network and spread the word about what you're doing? And I'm leading to the GO.A.T Awards that are going to take place
Hmm.
in 2 weeks on the
Hmm.
13th of
Hmm.
January at 7 p.m. at the historic Carolina Theater.
Hmm.
How important it is for you to have that place packed or have folks in there so they can hear what you have to share?
It's very important. The GOAT Awards came about because we wanted to think of something to say thank you to the little people. And I don't mean little people in what we think of them, but the people that never get recognized.
Mhm.
And so that night, we're giving out awards to the best barber, you know, the best nail technician, the best entertainer, the best DJ, the best promoter. But these are people that never get recognized for what they're doing. And you would be amazed at how much interrupting a lot of these folks do
Mhm.
in their businesses. You could sit in a hairstylist and you will hear conversations on top of conversations, and things get changed right inside of a salon or a barbershop. And so if we rally and thank these people for what they're doing, and then turn around and we've got a room full, and it does not matter color, it doesn't matter ethnic, it doesn't matter any of that. It matters that we've got a room full of people that can see what we're doing. And then we also have a platform to explain what we just explained here
Mhm.
today. If that room had no idea that we're up to 70, what?
4.
4.
Mhm.
And if that room sees, and we also honor everyone that's lost someone in a senseless killing, they come and they come down to the stage and they're presented with a ribbon and a medallion. And we acknowledge them and we let them know we love you, we feel you, we see you. But we need everyone in that room to feel what they feel. And that's what FASK is. And that's what the GOAT Awards does. It takes some way of exalting what people out here every day that deal with people that we don't see.
Mhm.
They can be that catalyst. They can be that voice. But we need to thank them for being that, for saying, you're right, if they can sit in the chair, and if we've got a stylist that she had a customer that's sitting in her chair, and this is kind of like the thought of all of this. And she was having a problem because her child is in a gang.
Mhm.
And she feels as though her child might not make it,
Mhm.
you know? And she was just telling her hairstylist this story.
Right.
And the hairstylist is like, well, what are you going to do? I don't want the hairstylist to ask, what are you going to do? I want the hairstylist to say, well, this is what you should do. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to take back. And that's what the
Mhm.
greatest of all time, these people are the greatest of all time at what they do.
Mhm.
And they can help us.
And it is coming up January 13th at the
Yes.
Carolina Theater. So definitely be there. And I'm going to stray and change kind of the last things. I want you to end us. We'll tell you about where to find out about more about the GO.A.T Awards in just a second. But I want you to end us by telling us what you think Trey would think about what you're doing. What would he say about these awards, about these interrupters?
Let me
Because
say,
he was an interrupter.
he was a major
Mm-hmm.
interrupter. And let me say this, I don't have to wonder what he would say, because the GOAT Awards is Trey's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It came to me through Trey.
Okay.
I'm spiritual, and I truly believe in taking care of the least of these, and I believe in a higher power. But I also know that my son came to me, and this whole thing, folks wanted me to go, and they kept saying, Dr. Spencer, you need to get over this. You need to go talk to somebody. You need to seek therapy. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't need to lay on anyone's couch or sit in anyone's chair to get rid of what I'm feeling. I don't need that. There's something else I need to do. And that kept at me. And then Trey brought it to me one night. And he said, I was an interrupter, and it is what it is.
How's that Marine sergeant doing?
Ooh, with Trey's father. Trey's dad is doing great. He's slowed down quite a bit. He's retired from the United States Marine Corps. He served in Vietnam, and some of that Agent Orange stuff is trying to bother him, and so we're in prayer with that. And so it's a lot going on, but he pushes me and says, what you're doing is what our son says do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Ira Spencer, thank you for sharing that. And please, when you go home, tell Mr. Spencer I said hello.
I'm going to do it. I am.
For more information about the GOAT Awards, you can head to GOATaward.com online. You may also come to the Melvin Municipal Office Building and see the dedication that we mentioned earlier in front of the plaza area. It's recognizing the citizens lost to senseless violence that we mentioned earlier in the program. It's a sacred area located outside the City Hall building near the intersections of Green and Washington Streets. Dr. Spencer, thank you so much for being our guest. Please come back and catch us up on everything you're doing. I know you got something else coming up to plot, and let us know how the GOAT Awards went this year.
Oh, I will. I definitely will.
As well as FASK, the Families Against Senseless Killings.
Okay.
Keep interrupting. Keep doing the good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you can go to the CarolinaTheater.com website too. And
Perfect.
Get your tickets.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we thank you so much for listening today. Please stay tuned weekly. Subscribe to Talk City Greensboro on iTunes, Pandora, and Google Play. And don't forget, you can download Talk City from SoundCloud. That is our time for this week. If you liked what you heard, please share it with a friend. Hey, and don't forget, you can watch GTN. That's your official source for news and information about the city of Greensboro.
GTN is available on Spectrum Channel 13, AT&T, UVerse Channel 99, and Lumos Channel 31. GTN also streams live on Roku and the city's website at greensboro-nc.gov.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.